Jack's POV. I picked up my pen to draft out a few things that the marriage contract would contain. They include not interfering in each other's personal lives, the no sex rule, and many other essential things. Are you done now? Clinton asked. Yeah, make sure you get it ready before tomorrow. The wedding will be held tomorrow. Tomorrow? Clinton exclaimed. Yeah, tomorrow, I replied. I noticed that Clinton didn't like the idea at all, but I don't care what he thinks as long as he keeps the process of my marriage a secret. We arrived at the place where Eve lives. The house was quite an old one. The ceilings and surroundings looked quite old. I stepped down from the car. Clinton led me into the house. Clinton had the gifts we bought for them in his hands. Clinton knocked on the door for a few seconds. An elderly man, who happened to be Eve's father, opened the door. Who are you? Mr. Jameson asked. This is Jason, the CEO of Jason Tech. We're here to let you know about the wedding between Jason and Eve. Clinton explained. Wedding between Jason and my daughter? My daughter never introduced anyone as a husband to us. She has never told us about her relationship with any man. Mr. Jameson gazed at me. I think you should let her know that we're here. Clinton suggested. Mr. Jameson nodded his head. He entered the house to let Mrs. Jameson know about our visit. He came back to us a few minutes later. Come in. Come in. You said you were the CEO of Jason Tech, right? You're welcome to my home. Come in, please. Mr. Jameson beckoned on us delightfully. As I walked into the house, I realized that the interior was worse than I expected. The ceiling of the house looked like it was about to fall. That was when I understood why Eve was obsessed with my money. Mr. and Mrs. Jameson welcomed us into their home. You are the CEO of Jason Tech. How did you meet my daughter anyway? Clinton stared at me. I can't let them know that we just met each other recently. I know her parents won't approve of such marriage. We have been dating for 2 months now. Eve broke the silence as she walked in. I turned to her with a huge gaze on my face. I never knew she could lie this way. 2 months? Why didn't you tell us about him? I mean, Coleman's family is a really powerful one, and you didn't let us know about him? Mrs. Jameson turned to address Eve. I'm truly sorry about that. Eve apologized. Clinton cleared his throat. I guess we shouldn't worry about that. These are some gifts we got for you both. Clinton smiled as he handed the packages to them. They were very surprised to receive so many packages. Oh my goodness, Eve, he is the right one for you. Mr. Jameson smiled at Eve. Yeah, I agree with your father. None of your ex-boyfriends have given us gifts like this. Mrs. Jameson chuckled. Eve stared at them dejectedly. She certainly didn't like the way her parents were reacting. She heaved a deep sigh and bent her head in shame. She looked embarrassed at the attitude of her parents. Well, the wedding will take place tomorrow in the court, I declared. Tomorrow? They exclaimed in unison, including Eve. I nodded my head. This is some sum of money you could use to take care of yourselves before then. Clinton smiled as he dropped a check for $2 million on the table. Oh my goodness! They both exclaimed. Eve didn't feel happy with her parents' reaction. I stared at her for a while, trying not to pity her. Don't worry, we'll be present in court tomorrow as witnesses, Mr. Jameson said, and Mrs. Jameson smiled. I checked my wristwatch. I need to be at work immediately. I guess we should be leaving now. See you in court tomorrow. I said this as I stood up. Okay, we'll be present. Eve, won't you see your fiancé off? Mrs. Jameson asked. Eve wasn't a bit happy, but I don't care about how she feels. Eve walked behind me slowly. We never said a word to each other. I entered the car without staring at her. I didn't care about how she felt. It's just for 2 months. After I find someone I truly love, she will find her way out of my life. I forgot to get her a wedding gown for our marriage in court, but I think all those things don't matter. We're finally married now. That's all that matters. Eve's POV. I knew for sure that Jason would make such a thing as the no sex rule. I tossed around the bed, unable to sleep. So, this is what a wedding night looks like. I sighed. I've read a lot of books and novels about how sweet a wedding night is, but I guess everything about me is different. Maybe good things select people. I can never imagine that this is what my wedding night would look like. But I guess all that doesn't matter. Our marriage is based on a contract. It isn't even a real marriage. At least my parents are happy. So, I'm happy too. Eve! I heard Jason scream my name from his room. Is everything okay? I wondered. I walked into his room, but I couldn't find him. You keep screaming my name, but I can't find you. I sighed. I'm in the bathroom. Bathroom? What does that have to do with me? I frowned. The water suddenly went off. I need your help. Jason replied. My help? You're naked in the bathroom. You don't expect me to walk into the bathroom when you're in there. I sighed. Eve, get some water from the refrigerator for me. I can't even see properly. Jason ordered. He can't even plead. I thought as I folded my arms, walking into the living room. I got the bottle of water as he ordered. I'm here. It is on your doorstep. I'm leaving. I turned. Eve, you need to help me out. I told you that I can't see. The bathtub is too soapy. He yelled. I picked up the water bottles. I entered the bathroom, covering my eyes. I didn't want to meet him half naked in the bathroom. I opened the water bottles for him. I'm done. I huffed, trying to leave. I didn't know there were some soapy waters on the floor, which made the floor slippery. Watch out! Jason screamed. Ah! I screamed as I almost fell. Jason held my hands, dragging me closer to his chest. I fell into the bathtub with him. Eve's POV. I felt my heartbeat increase as he held me in his arms. I quickly released myself from his grip and ran out of the bathroom. I headed to my room, quickly laying on the bed and covering my head in shame. I remembered the rules in our contract. We shouldn't have any physical contact, but we had already broken that rule on the first day. This was a bad sign. I shouldn't get close to him at all. A few minutes later, I heard a knock on the door. Who could that be? I wondered. I stood up from the bed and headed to the living room. Jameson had already opened the door for his grandmother, Grandma Nini. Our eyes met, and he had a furious look on his face as he glared at me. I hated it every time he stared at me that way. Oh, who do we have here? Grandma Nini smiled excitedly, giving me a hug. Grandma, you're welcome. I smiled as she hugged me tightly. Eve, go and make some food for her. You should have done that a long time ago. Jameson glared at me. Is that how you talk to your wife? Grandma Nini turned to him. She's not my wife. You're aware that I married her because I had no choice. Jameson sighed, walking to the dining table. His words pierced deep into my heart. I couldn't control the tears rolling down my cheeks. I quickly wiped them away with my palms. I shouldn't let Grandma Nini see me in this situation. Jameson, don't you dare talk about her in that manner. You took your vows earlier today. Don't you remember? Is this how you want to spend your wedding night? Grandma Nini scowled at him. Jameson heaved a deep sigh. Don't worry about that. I'll make the dishes myself, he sighed. What happened to Cynthia? The maid who actually prepares your meals? Grandma Nini asked. I fired her. What do I need a maid for when I have a wife? Jameson sighed, walking towards the kitchen. I can't believe I'm not his wife but his maid, I thought. Grandma Nini turned to me and held my hands. Don't worry about Jameson. He'll come around soon, okay? Grandma Nini assured me. I simply nodded my head as we sat at the dining table. I've been with Jameson since he was a kid. I'm the one who trained him, but I still regret a few things. Grandma Nini sighed. What's that? His toxic personality. I truly wish I could do something about it, but all my efforts lead to nothing. He doesn't like having people around him, among many other things. The way he treats you is actually my fault. I'm truly sorry about that, Grandma Nini sobbed. I moved closer to her. Don't worry, it's not your fault. Jameson can change if he wants, but I don't think I'm the right person for him. One day, he will find someone who can change his personality, I explained. Grandma Nini stared at me. Don't say that. You and Jameson are a match made in heaven, okay? Grandma Nini assured me. I shook my head. I don't think so. This is our wedding night, and you can see the way he treats me. I'm not regarded as his wife, but instead as a maid, I replied. Grandma Nini took a deep breath and gently rubbed my hair with her hands. Eve, everything will be all right. Jameson is not an easy person. He'll come around soon, but you have to give him some time. And who knows, you might end up loving each other. Grandma Nini shrugged. End up loving each other? I don't think that's possible. We didn't love each other before our marriage, and I don't see it happening now, I explained. There's still love after marriage. I was forced to marry my late husband. I never loved him. I hated him so much that I insisted we sleep in separate rooms. But with time, we started loving each other. Don't give up so easily. You can still end up loving Jameson, Grandma Nini assured me. She shouldn't bother loving me. She knows we shouldn't love each other anyway. Jameson interjected as he walked into the living room with a tray in his hands. Don't say such things. Grandma Nini retorted. She turned to me with a reassuring smile. I took a taste of Jameson's meal. It actually tastes nice. Jameson, I never knew you were a good cook, I said, trying to ease the tension. Jameson ignored me and focused on his meal. Eve, don't mind him. Besides, there's something more important I'm expecting from you both, Grandma Nini said. What's that? Jameson and I asked in unison. You already know what I have in mind. A child, a son, or a daughter, Grandma Nini said, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Grandma, not today, not tomorrow. Don't even think about that, Jameson snapped. Where did I go wrong? Seeing my great-grandchild isn't supposed to be an issue, right? Grandma Nini turned to me. I nodded my head. I knew what she had in mind. She didn't know that our marriage was based on a contract, and we had a no-sex rule, which meant we wouldn't even think about touching each other. Grandma Nini, don't you think it's too early for that? This is just our wedding night, and we'll be leaving for London first thing tomorrow morning, I explained. Yeah, I understand. But it's not a bad idea. I was just saying. Anyway, it's your wedding night, and you guys should enjoy it. I'll be heading to my room. I had a hectic day earlier. Grandma Nini sighed, standing up from her seat. Okay, Grandma. Have a good night's rest. I waved at her. She smiled at me and walked to her apartment. Jameson frowned at me. What is it? Where did I go wrong? I shrugged. Where did you go wrong? Is that what you're asking? I don't want to hear you talk about having kids with Grandma Nini, Jameson instructed. You're talking as if I was the one who brought up that topic. Anyway, I'm very much aware that you hate me and my presence irritates you. I won't do anything to make you mad at me, so you shouldn't be worried about anything concerning me. I sneered at him. Jameson gazed at me, his expression unreadable. Well, that's your business. We're leaving for London first thing tomorrow morning, so you should be prepared, he instructed. I know, and I have just a few clothes with me. So, I'm already prepared. Anyway, I'm very eager to know where I will be sleeping tonight, I said, looking at him with curiosity. Jameson heaved a deep sigh. We'll be sleeping together. I'll sleep on the bed while you sleep on the couch. On the couch, I exclaimed in disbelief. Yeah, the couch is big enough for you to sleep on, Jameson replied unfazed. I shook my head. No, I'm not sleeping on the couch. It's our wedding night, and I deserve to sleep on the bed just like any other bride. You're not any other bride, Eve. You're my wife only, because I had no choice. You don't deserve anything more than the couch, Jameson retorted coldly. I felt a mix of anger and sadness welling up within me. Fine, have it your way, I said, my voice trembling slightly. Jameson turned around and headed to the bedroom, leaving me standing alone in the living room. I held back my tears and made my way to the couch, silently preparing myself for a lonely and sleepless night. As I lay on the couch, thoughts raced through my mind. How did my life take such a drastic turn? From being an independent woman with dreams and aspirations, I was now trapped in a loveless marriage, treated as nothing more than a maid. Chapter 6. I sat down in the hallway as I thought about what had transpired in the last few days. I had gotten married to the man of people's dreams, but not mine. Growing up, I've always pictured myself as someone like Merida from Brave. She stood up to her mother even if she had to turn her into a bear to prove her point on not getting married to a man she barely knew or even marriage in general. But of course, I have nothing against my parents and definitely don't want to turn them into a bear or anything close to animals, but I simply wished life wasn't this way. Unfair and painstakingly hard to the poor. Growing up, I never really pictured myself as Cinderella who gets saved by Prince Charming from her wicked stepmother. I always wanted to be the savior, bring us out of this sad and impoverished lifestyle, and I did through Jason. I became Cinderella, but I didn't find the prince charming, and now I still have to be a maid in my own home. I got up from the floor where I sat and entered the room. The lights were off, and Jason looked like he was asleep. I took one good look at him and sighed heavily. Look at him sleeping happily on the bed while I take the couch. I thought as I found my way to the couch in the room. I laid down and put a blanket over me. 2 months and this would all be over. I thought as I drifted to sleep. Beep, beep, beep. It was like the alarm was ringing right in my ears. I opened my eyes and tried to adjust them to the lights in the room. I groaned as I turned to the side to switch off the alarm, but I saw Jason standing right beside me with the alarm in his hands. I shot him an annoyed look as I sat up and faced him properly. What kind of person wakes his wife up with an alarm right beside her ears? I thought as I gritted my teeth, trying to hold back from saying something to him as it was still very early in the morning, judging from the weather outside. Get up, we're gonna be late. Jason said grouchily as he walked back to his closet to get an outfit. Isn't it too early? I managed to ask. We're going to New York. I have a board meeting in a few hours, and if we don't leave now, we're gonna be late. Jason said angrily. Okay, you don't have to be so rude about it. I said, getting up from the couch where I sat and walking towards the bathroom. Stop, Jackson said, turning to face me. Stop. I raised my brows, questioning him. Use your bathroom. Did you not read the clause on the contract? Jason asked, frowning.